NOAA for being present in this meeting, because we really need you, especially to push for that regulation. Because, noise pollution control is a devolved function in the Constitution, Article 186, in one of the devolved functions. At the same time, we are still using the law, the regulation under MCA, the Noise and Excessive Regulation, Pollution Control. So we need at least to check on the gaps and ensure that we have a regulation which fits the city of Nairobi and it considers everyone in the city. Yeah, so I'll just go first to explain to you some of the principles which guides our operation, especially in noise pollution control. And I will start one with the precautionary principle because, environmental issues, in most cases, when we see we have a risk, for example, we have potential risk, we ensure that that risk does not appear or occur when we have not taken the precautions. So, for example, if we have establishments which has potential risk or cause of noise pollution, we ensure that there is environmental impact assessment, which is done, and the public is involved. For example, let's say it's a club which is coming up. We ensure that that club conducts environmental impact assessment, and because noise is one of the main environmental problems which is foreseen to come from a club, we ensure that they come up with an environmental management plan and it is well implemented. Number two, in the principles, we promote the right to a clean and a healthy environment. You know, in our Constitution, Article 42, every citizen has a right to a clean and a healthy environment, and it's our responsibility to ensure that that right is promoted, and not just for the right of the present generation, but also for the future generation. Also, public participation is one of our key principles which guides operation, and that's why when when we are issuing noise permits, because you see, the city, we cannot, we are social beings. Sometimes we need to have parties, sometimes we need to have our social activities as residents of Nairobi. So for you to get that noise permit, one of the main requirements is you're supposed to get a consent from the Residents Association. Sometimes we get consent from Residents Association, like KLDA, but we also receive complaints after we issue those noise permits. So we have introduced something else, and I'm glad to hear the chairman talking about you consulting the immediate neighbors. If there is an establishment or a garden which has a complaint which has been lodged to us, we usually include that as a requirement to have, even if they have consent from KLDA, to have consent from the immediate neighbors. I don't know whether Victoria is here. Sometimes she calls me and she says that, we have given them consent, but you tell them, you see, this consent is from KLDA, but the immediate neighbors are complaining. So we also want to get the consent from the immediate neighbors. Sustainable development is also one of the key principles. So we ensure that we balance the social, economic, and environmental issues in the society. We have preventive measures for the noise. We do risk assessment. Actually, we have categorized risk assessments. We have done a risk assessment for the whole city, for areas which are potential for noise pollution. And I can say that in this area, we have only one area, the venue club. That is the only place which is licensed for now for a nightclub and recommended for us from environment because of the risk categorization. We do the risk categorization in high, medium, and low. High is area where there is a very high likelihood of causing injury to the neighborhood. Medium, there is identified risk, but if soundproofing is done, then we can issue license. And then there is low, for example, in CBD and also in shopping centers. We also do public participation and sensitization forum, especially to the owners of these areas where there is noise pollution. And it's not just in clubs alone. We also involve mosques, churches, and garages, especially the ones which we have received complaints from. And we sensitize them on the issues of noise and what they're supposed to do to ensure that they work within the law. I am also going to talk about a very important thing about standards of operation procedures. And this is very important for us because that is what, or those are the procedures which we follow in our operations. For example, if it's I'll just be specific to noise because that is what we are talking about today. We have the procedures, and procedure number 1, for example, if it's case of noise, we encourage the Residents Association to submit a written complaint to Director Environment. It can be to Director Environment, Chief Officer Environment, or it can also be to the Office of the County Secretary or the Governor. So when we receive that complaint, the complaint is investigated. The reason as to why I'm emphasizing on this is because sometimes I might receive a complaint through your phone, through a call, through a text, or through WhatsApp. And just to rule out business rivalry and malice, we always investigate our cases. And that is why we encourage you to register a written complaint to us so that we follow the right procedures. So once we receive that complaint, we investigate. And our investigations is done within 72 hours. We visit the places where there are source of. And I know some of you, especially the complainants, if you call us, sometimes I might not be the one addressing the issue, but I know some of our officers call you and they tell you that I've been assigned this work to go and investigate in this place. Yeah, so we investigate and inspect the areas. And when we find that there is a risk, or we find that there was, sometimes the noise can be happening like yesterday, and then the officer visits the place today. We always investigate and we inspect. For example, if it's a garden, you always ask whether they had events the day before, which kinds of instruments they use, because sometimes you might not find those equipment there. It's not like a club. So once we do the investigations, we notify them that we have received a complaint through a notice. We give them a noise improvement notice. Once we give them that noise improvement notice, we now start monitoring the establishment. And we find that when we find that they have not complied to the terms and conditions for the notice, that is when we prosecute. If there is still continuous non-compliance, even after prosecution, we issue closure orders. I'm sure you've heard some of the establishments being closed down by county government in partnership with NEMA. That is after we follow all those procedures. I would also like to appreciate you for the good work you're doing, especially in partnering with Nairobi County Government. I was recently added to the WhatsApp group, and when we get those complaints there, we are able to address them immediately. But just as I have said, kindly, when you have any complaint, just pass it through the KLDA, or still you can write as an individual to our offices. Because I am from Green Nairobi, and I want to just talk about noise alone, we are encouraging this collaboration and partnership with stakeholders, especially in environmental awareness. We're going to launch a program very soon for awareness, especially in solid waste management and promotion of circular economy. So kindly, let's partner and let's work together so that at least we make Nairobi clean and green. Thank you very much.
Christian, thank you so much. Residents, she's the one who's supposed to keep Karen quiet. And now you know her. And we've heard her speak, and our MP wants to say something. And before he does, he seems fired up. Let me allow him to say something.
So that I don't lose that trail of thought. One of the ways clubs are coming up within Karen, or establishments that make noise within Karen, is owners who are selling their homes or turning their own homes to these clubs. So like she was saying, one of the first things that must happen, even before your neighbor moves, they must tell you why they are moving or what is coming in where they have just left. We had a place right across, this is the stretch of Bomas, where we had so many clubs coming up, then the stretch of Langata Road, and all the residents were complaining. Yet they did not even know who their neighbor was when they left, or when they even turned their homes into a club. So we continuously ask, I know we've done so many public participations, but today I'm seeing so many new faces of people who've never been into these public participations. Yet it affects you directly. Anytime you hear that there is a public participation, more so in your neighborhood, try and ask, try and come out and know why we are having this public participation. Your neighbor might just be turning their home into a nightclub, and you still want the same lifestyle you brought yourself into. So kindly, when KLDA calls for public participation, even if you're not there, try and read the WhatsApp groups, the resolutions that were passed, and what the public participation was all about. The other thing, you've heard that noise is a devolved function nowadays, and it is not in my office anymore. But I'm still here to help you. You know, in politics, we have two rules. Follow the rules, follow the law, or let the law follow you. So, if KLDA will not be able, or they might not be able to stop someone, because maybe somebody somewhere, or the person putting up an event is that big person, just let me know. Let KLDA let me know, so that we can also, apart from just following the law with them, we can also ruthlessly follow them wherever they are and stop it, because we need the residents of Karen to continue enjoying the same lifestyle that they brought themselves into. You cannot be in your home and next is a club blasting on noise, and when they are told to stop, they can't stop because somebody somewhere knows someone. You can also just let the chairman to let me know. I know a few ways how we can stop that club, and they might not work for the next so many years when you are still here in Karen. Thank you.
It was burning in him. Now, we've had the MP, we've heard about what Christian does and how she does it. But residents, let's be honest with each other. There's still noise. Let's be honest. There's all the procedures that we need to follow. There's this and that. There's this and that. They come to the office, noise permits. Christian, in fact, before she approves, she sends me a message on WhatsApp asking, has this been approved? Has this been approved? But then somehow, either those people who are given these approvals don't care. So it's for formality. You remember what I said when we started this conversation? We're here to pass resolutions. Let's not make it a thing where we come here and talk and get to know the process and so on and so forth. Christian, there's still noise at night. There's still noise at night. Enforcement notices. She told me not to say who has been issued with enforcement notices. Some establishments have been issued with enforcement notices and still there's noise disturbance. Thank you to our MP. I don't know whether you're understanding his language. Were you understanding? If the procedures are not working, the law is there, and this is the first time at least, and don't get me wrong, I'm not campaigning for him. We knew each other through KLDA. What brings us together is you as residents. But it's fortunate for us to have an MP that's thinking like this. And unfortunately, that's what you need. We're not saying Karen residents are going to break the law. To do it for us, maybe. But then we have to have peace. Now, the question is, Christine, let's say there's noise at night at 11 o'clock. Mitch, our project manager, is not going to wake up from where he is to come and stop noise. The MP has a family. The enforcement team here, and Christine, you'll let us know, do they work 24 hours a night, 24 hours a day? Who's available at night? Take down the question. I believe I'm speaking for residents. When there's that person blasting music at 11 o'clock at night, who do we call? I'm an early sleeper. If you call the chairman, I'll probably be asleep. I've received those phone calls. And I'm not going to mention names. I can see you here. But you see, if KLDA had enforcement powers, we will use your membership money and have an enforcement team. And we'll probably help Jalango with what he wants to do. But the unfortunate bit is, I've noted that. I've noted you have a question, and you and 3, what do we do? Christine is saying they have an enforcement team at night. Let's hear from her, and then we can take those 3 questions, because now we're going into Q&A. As I told you, we need to know. We pass resolutions, and the next time we come back, we are seeing if they're working.
Thank you. There's something I forgot to say about multi-sectoral approach in handling noise pollution issues, because sometimes you might find it's a function which is for the planning, another one for police, another one for environment. So, especially at night, we have a multi-agency team. So we have enforcement officers working 24 hours. And in environment, we also we have environment for working 24 hours. We have day shift and night shift. And this does not mean that you cannot call me during the night. Anyone here from Botanical Gardens, the neighbors? I've been receiving some complaints from Botanical Gardens at night, and sometimes we attend during the night. Myself, even, I've been there for like twice. And I have even texts from, I don't know who, but I know it's a lady from Botanical Gardens. And they always give the feedback. Thank you. The noise it has reduced. Let me also put it clearly that noise permits are valid up to 6 p.m. So even if it's a garden and they have noise permits, they're supposed to have the excessive noise up to 6 p.m. Thank you.
Good. Residents, you've heard it. Yes, Oliver, I'm coming there. You've heard it. There's a 24-hour response team. You're reading my mind. You're reading my mind. Christian, we need to know, how do we get, you're saying we call you. I don't think you can receive phone calls from 100 residents every night. Is there a hotline?
Okay, thank you. You can always call me, but I'm going to share with you hotline when I get clear communication from the communication team on the right hotline so that I communicate through the office.
Residents, can we put her to task? Christian, I'm sorry I'm putting you on
That's okay, that's okay.
She said she's going to share a number, and she's probably going to share her number. And the hotline is being sent up. Thank you.
Specifically for noise.
What happens when we call and report and nothing happens? Because I know that's the next question you have. What happens when nothing happens? That's the next question I think, Christine, you should answer.
Yeah,
What if that
feedback.
enforcement team does not?
Actually, feedback for us is very important because sometimes you might complain to us, we attend the issue, and then you keep quiet. We think, oh, it is okay. And just as I said, public participation is a very, very key principle in our operation. If you don't give us the feedback, then we might not know whether the noise is still there or not. So kindly, if there is no compliance, kindly, thank you.
Residents, you've heard it. Let me take some questions. Yes. We're now in Q&A because we also need to progress. Yes.
Surely we should have a member of our local police force here who also could help, because where I call, if there's a real problem of noise, I call the police station. Generally speaking, they do nothing. So I'd like to know why maybe a member of the police force, local police force, is not here tonight. Would be really helpful if they were backing us.
Noise pollution is a devolved function, and it is the function of the county government. So kindly call the officer for the county government and not the police. We usually contact the police when we want security. So
But you can't start a vigilante group, surely. You know, you're talking in some ways about having vigilantes, really. And that's a bit dangerous, really. You have to be very careful.
okay, we usually do monitoring and surveillance, 24 hours monitoring and surveillance in different areas of the city. And just as I said, sometimes you'll find the county government working with the city, with the police. Sometimes you'll find them working with the enforcement officers, because we have our enforcement officers, we have the liquor team, and we also have planning. There's something I forgot to say, which is very important, and I know Mheshimiwa talked about it, about zoning policy. And we are in the process of coming up with a zoning policy of where those establishments are supposed to be located, whether a bar, a church, or a garden for the entertainment purposes. It is not illegal to play music. Let me just be clear on this. It is not illegal to play music. For example, if it's a club, you can play music, but you're supposed to ensure that music does not affect your neighbor. So you're supposed to provide mitigation measures to soundproof and ensure that that noise it's not going to be a nuisance to your neighbor.
Mburu, let's have one question from Ezekiel and the guy with the snapback.
Thank you. I'd like to talk about these guest facilities which are within the neighborhoods. And they think they have an open license to host birthday parties even during the day, making noise, and maybe wedding, receptions, and the like. What are we going to do about this? Bearing in mind that earlier on the members complained and rejected against the establishment of the licensing. But somehow they passed where they passed and got license, and they are a permanent nuisance. What do we do about those?
I think you've just answered that, haven't you?
Kindly note that Environment Department does not license. It does not license gardens. Gardens are licensed by the licensing team. However, due to these emerging issues of noise which are coming up, we are working as a multi-sector to ensure that those issues raised by the environment, especially for noise, is being handled. But this does not mean that. Remember, when you look at Public Nuisance Act for 2021, the CS has powers to withdraw any license for an establishment which is a nuisance. So kindly let us know all those establishments. And I request after this meeting, kindly, let us have a list of all those establishments which are still a nuisance. Because I know almost all the areas where we've received complaints, we have issued notices. So if the non-compliance still continues, then we are going to close them because we have already notified them, we have prosecuted them, and if they still continue to being a nuisance to the residents, then we are going to close them. So kindly, just give us a list of all those areas for the consideration. And remember that as myself, I do not have the powers of closure. It's only the CS. So when you write all that, we are going to have inspection, and then we'll communicate back to you on the actions taken. Thank you.
Hi. Madam Noise Devoid, as I can see you are, I've only got a simple question to ask you. Why do we have noises that are repetitive? 3, 4, 5 times. Is there a selective group of people who can make noise? It's reported over and over again. Is there a certain bracket of people who can do what they want to do? That's what I'm asking, because you're talking about calling a different line, but we call 3, 4 times, repetitive, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So, do we have to pay a special permit for them to make noise all night long, devoid of who we are? I appreciate you live in Karen for the past 30 years, but we've been in Karen since 1965, and we are fighting for our rights. So, is there a selective group of people who can do what they want to do in Karen?
No one is above the law, and just as I stated that all the noise permits, even the ones we have your consent, their validity is up to 6 p.m. So anyone who is making noise for you at night, kindly let us know.
Hi, Christine. Thanks. I'm just wondering, instead of certain places and one-offs and parties and repetitive noise, there's a repetitive noise going on morning, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, lunchtime, and the evening. It's matatus sitting at the Karen roundabout, hooting air horns. It goes for miles around, and it is incredibly disturbing. Who deals with that? We've been complaining for 10 years, 15 years to the police and anybody who will listen, and nothing happens. Have you got any insight there, please?
Remind me the stage for the matatus. Okay. I would request the Residents Association to at least submit a written complaint and then kindly give us the name of the company, the matatus, because I can confirm to you that that is a nuisance. Sorry? The last 10 years. It's okay. Personally, I'll look at that and I'll give you a feedback.
Thank you, Christine.
You've said it's the stage near police station. I'll check on that. That one I'll check on it, I promise you.
Yeah, okay, I have a question. Christine, I have a question. And probably a suggestion, because you've given the areas of limitation for the noise up to 6 o'clock. It depends where the noise is coming from. If people are having a wedding, a function, you can't gauge that. But how about the clubs that continue to blast the music all throughout? And the DMP has mentioned something here, that we leave our homes and see them, people who are setting up clubs within the estate. The thing is, I wish you had come with a licensing officer from the county, because when one is applying for the license, you should be able to know where the business being located and what kind of business being done. We'd have nipped everything in the bud, in the sense that we'll not be discussing about noise, we'll not discuss clubs in the wrong places, because that's the first thing you first submit before you get the license. I think that's where we should start from. Other than when things have mushroomed, it becomes difficult to close them down. We have a specific club as you drive down to Sitam, which blocks the road. And by the time we leave here by 8, we'll all be blocked. You can't move anywhere. They're taken up the road going to the other side of the section of the road. So that's what it is. Can we have the licensing people be serious what they are doing? Thank you.
Just one more.
All right, the last one.
Yes, thank you very much for this chance to speak. Christine, thank you very much. I have called you, I have texted, written SMSs to you, and you have responded. But I keep hearing you talk about noise at night. There's a lot of noise in the daytime. All these venues where you have functions, weddings, church services, everything, those venues are a nuisance because of the noise that they cause in the daytime. Every time I visit my relatives in Moja, in Kayole, on a Saturday afternoon, I envy them because the place is peaceful. Why? Because everybody has left wherever they are and come to Karen. Because in Karen, there is a lot of room to make noise. But right next to where the noise is coming from is somebody's home. Right at that boundary here, your home is here. And this is the noise. You're not the noise. What about that? I haven't heard you talk much about noise in the day. Many businesses in Karen have noise as their business. They use loudspeakers as if it is in a village arena and they are calling villagers from that ridge and that ridge and that ridge. So what about that problem? It's a big one.
I think Professor Boone, you have said it very clearly. There's noise during the day, Christine. There's noise during the night. She's mentioned that she's going to give us a hotline, and those are the 4 numbers she was mentioning. Let's start by these residents. She's heard us. Because her department is the one responsible for noise, she's taken notes. She has mentioned that because we're going to try and keep time. Look for her. We give her that list. Take it down. Let's blast that line. When they blast the music, we blast that line.
Two nine 072 39. There's also another number for Kevin Oliti. Oh, really? It's okay. So just call that number. You either my number or for Kevin. So instead of just calling NEMA, because you can call NEMA and then they reach out to us the following day, just call us direct. I've noted that also the issues for noise are during the day, and in most of our operations are during the night. So we are going to check that and include in our work plan.
Christian, Kevin.
Just a minute.
Zero seven. 4. 897. Davis. Yes.
And also, this is now to the KLDA team. I think the next meeting we must have of owners of all wedding grounds. All right? All wedding grounds, and with them should all be all bar owners, most of the notorious ones. You write to them. We have a meeting. And we are not planning to have vigilantes around. But there are people who, that is the only direction we will go with them. We want solutions here. If they can't listen to what they have been told, they have been